Welcome back to Project Debrief for our fourth deep dive.
Ah.
Are you ready to jump back into the world of government secrets and conspiracy?
Oh, yeah. Always. I love this stuff.
Today we're going to be talking about Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, this one's,
Have you heard about this?
Oh, of course. Operation Paperclip, it's a classic.
Okay, so give us the rundown for people who haven't heard of this.
Yeah, so basically Operation Paperclip, it was this top secret program run by the U.S. government right after World War II.
Right.
The U.S., they decided to recruit Nazi scientists.
Over 1,600 of them.
Yeah, like over 1,600.
Crazy.
I know, right?
They were brought to the U.S., given new identities, and then put to work on super-secret projects.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie, right?
It really does.
Like a total spy thriller, but it was totally real.
So set the stage for us. World War II is over. Everyone's trying to recover. And you've got the U.S. and the Soviet Union kind of circling each other.
Yeah, the Cold War is just starting to heat up.
Exactly.
And both sides, they're just desperate for anything that'll give them an edge.
Like any advantage whatsoever.
Exactly. And the Allies,
Yeah.
especially the U.S., they started finding all this crazy advanced research the Nazis had been doing.
Like what kind of stuff?
I mean, everything. Rocketry, aviation, even medicine. They were way ahead in some areas.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And the U.S., they knew this stuff was a gold mine, but also kind of dangerous.
How so?
I mean, imagine if this tech fell into the wrong hands.
Oh, right.
It could have been a disaster.
That makes sense.
So the U.S. figured it's better to have those scientists working for us than against us.
Right.
And that's how Operation Paperclip was born.
Okay, so this secret program to scoop up all these Nazi scientists and bring them to America.
Exactly.
It seems a little crazy, right?
I know, it's pretty wild. But they weren't just doing it to keep the Soviets from getting their hands on this stuff.
No.
I mean, the U.S. really wanted to use this knowledge to boost their own tech game.
So they were playing both offense and defense.
Exactly.
It's insane to think that some of the people behind the Nazi war machine ended up shaping American science.
Right. It's like something out of a history book, but it's totally real.
So let's go back to the beginning. How did this whole thing actually start?
Well, one of the first versions of Operation Paperclip was this thing called Operation Overcast.
Overcast.
Yeah, and at first it was just about interviewing German scientists.
So like debriefing them?
Yeah, just trying to figure out what they knew.
But then things changed.
Oh, yeah, they realized how much talent they had access to,
Yeah.
and they decided to go all in on recruitment.
So at this point, the Allies are digging through all these captured documents
Yeah.
and interrogating scientists, trying to get any info that could help them.
Yeah, they were hungry for anything that could give them a leg up in the Cold War. And then comes this amazing discovery,
Yeah.
almost by accident.
What happened?
They found this secret list hidden in the most random place. A toilet.
A toilet.
Yeah, a toilet at Bonn University.
You're kidding.
Nope.
Wow.
Talk about a historic flush, right?
Right.
So this list, it became known as the Ozenberg list.
The Ozenberg list.
Yeah, named after this Nazi engineer, Werner Ozenberg.
So what was on this list?
Oh, man. It was basically a directory of German scientists.
So like a who's who of Nazi Germany's science scene.
Exactly. You had names, specializations, research projects all laid out.
It's like they found the blueprint to Nazi Germany's brain trust.
That's a great way to put it.
So the U.S. hit the jackpot with this.
Oh, yeah. They knew exactly who to target.
Okay, so with the Ozenberg list in hand, Operation Paperclip kicks into high gear.
Yeah, the military starts rounding up scientists and their families. Sometimes they even went into Soviet-controlled territory to grab them before the Soviets could.
Wow, so they were playing for keeps?
Oh, yeah, they took them to all these different camps. Yeah, one of them was nicknamed Dustbin.
Dustbin?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's a pretty grim name.
Yeah, but it kind of gives you an idea of the whole situation.
So what happened at these camps?
Well, they interrogated the scientists, assessed them, trying to figure out what they knew.
I can only imagine the kind of stuff they learned from those interrogations.
Oh, yeah. All kinds of secrets about Nazi research programs, tech advancements, even the inner workings of the regime.
It must have been a gold mine of intel.
It was.
But originally, the focus was on making sure these scientists didn't end up working for someone else.
Especially the Soviets, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't stay that way for long.
What happened?
They realized just containing these guys wasn't enough.
They had to actually use them.
Exactly.
So Operation Paperclip shifted from containment to recruitment.
Yep. The goal became bringing these scientists to America, integrating them, and using their knowledge to get ahead.
That's where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah, because some of these scientists were incredibly controversial.
Right. I mean, some of them were involved in really dark stuff.
Yeah, men whose brilliance was tied up with the worst parts of Nazi Germany.
Exactly.
Like take Wernher von Braun, for example.
Von Braun.
Yeah, the guy behind the V-2 rocket.
Oh, wow.
The weapon that terrified London during the war.
Yeah. But he also ended up being crucial to America's space program.
Crazy, right?
Totally.
So von Braun and his team arrive at Fort Bliss, Texas in 1945.
Okay.
And their arrival, it was like a turning point for Operation Paperclip.
How so?
They weren't just scientists anymore. They
Yeah.
became symbols of how far the U.S. was willing to go to win the Cold War.
They were willing to embrace former enemies in the name of progress.
Exactly.
It's a fascinating and unsettling part of history.
Definitely.
So von Braun and his team end up in Huntsville, Alabama,
Right.
where they set up the Ordnance Rocket Center,
Yeah.
which eventually becomes NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center.
Right.
It's mind-blowing to think about it. The place that helped put humans on the moon
Yeah.
came from technology originally meant for war.
Technology that was developed for destruction, repurposed to launch us into space.
It's wild.
It is.
And that's just one part of it?
Yeah, we've just scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
There's so much more to uncover about Operation Paperclip.
Okay, well, let's dig a little deeper then.
But let's do it.
Stick with us as we explore the complexities and the ethical dilemmas of this top-secret program that changed history.
It's going to be a wild ride.
All right.
Buckle up. Operation Paperclip, it was like this giant scientific shopping spree, right?
Yeah.
The U.S., they were handpicking all these brilliant minds from Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it's easy to focus on the space race stuff, but it was way more than just rockets.
Oh, yeah, way more. I mean, over 1,600 scientists and engineers.
That's a lot of brain power.
Exactly. And they had expertise in everything from medicine to aviation to synthetic fuels.
Synthetic fuels.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, it's like making fuel from coal or natural gas.
Interesting. So what else besides rockets and space travel?
Well, aviation was a big one.
Okay.
Imagine it's the early days of jet aircraft and the U.S. is trying to push the boundaries of flight.
Yeah.
And they find all this German research on swept wings.
What wings?
Yeah.
What are those?
It's all about the shape of the wings. Instead of straight out, they're angled back like a bird.
I think I've seen that on some planes.
Exactly. And this German aerodynamicist Adolf Bussmann,
Arf Boosman.
yeah, he had this theory that swept wings could reduce drag at supersonic speeds.
So they could fly faster.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's how we got those sleek jets we see today.
Basically, yeah, Bussmann's work, it was kind of ignored in Germany during the war, but the U.S., they saw its value.
So they brought him over under Operation Paperclip.
Yep, and his research changed aircraft design forever.
So we owe the shape of modern airplanes in part to a Nazi scientist.
It's pretty wild, right?
It really is. It's amazing how Operation Paperclip touched so many things. But dropping 1,600 people into a new country, there's got to be some cultural clashes, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. These scientists came from a completely different world.
Right. Totally different political system, different culture.
Exactly. And then there's the whole issue of their past Nazi affiliations.
Yeah. How did the U.S. government deal with that?
It was a tough situation.
I bet.
They had to balance their strategic interests with the moral implications.
I mean, it doesn't seem like something they could just ignore.
No, definitely not. Their solution was basically secrecy and image management.
They tried to erase the past.
In a way, yeah.
Mm.
They changed names, scrubbed biographies, presented them as just brilliant scientists eager to help America.
That sounds risky.
It was, and it didn't always work.
No.
As early as 1946, there were whispers in the media about former Nazis in the U.S.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And over time, those whispers got louder.
Leading to.
Investigations, congressional hearings, all sorts of stuff.
And the public started to catch on.
Exactly. It became harder and harder to keep it under wraps.
So how did people react?
It was mixed. Some people argued it was a necessary evil.
A necessary evil.
Yeah, that the Cold War's threat was so big they had to get this knowledge no matter what.
I can see that perspective.
Others were horrified.
Okay.
They thought it was morally wrong to give refuge to people who were part of the Nazi regime.
I can understand that side too. It's a really tough issue.
It is. There's no easy answer.
What about the scientists themselves? How did they adjust to life in America?
Some of them embraced it fully. They built careers. Families became American citizens.
So they assimilated.
Yeah, but for others, it was harder.
I imagine so.
They struggled with feeling out of place, the cultural differences, the weight of their past.
It must have been really complicated going from being part of a defeated regime to working for the world's new superpower.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a story full of individual journeys, each one unique and complex.
So Operation Paperclip wasn't just about getting knowledge.
No, it was about controlling the narrative, shaping how history was written.
It shows how far governments were willing to go during the Cold War.
Exactly.
And it highlights the ethical dilemmas that come up when science meets politics.
It was a gamble, a calculated risk with both amazing achievements and some disturbing compromises.
We've just started to explore this, but one thing's clear.
What's that?
Operation Paperclip was a major turning point, not just for science and technology, but for how we think about knowledge, power, and morality.
Right.
But before we get too deep into all that, there's one more fascinating piece of the Operation Paperclip puzzle we need to look at.
So remember those whispers we talked about earlier?
Yeah, the hints that something wasn't quite right with some of these scientists.
Right. Well, those whispers, they eventually got a lot louder.
What happened?
More and more info came out about the truth behind Operation Paperclip.
So it's like a big reveal in a spy movie.
Kinda, yeah. You have these scientists praised for helping America.
Right. They're seen as heroes.
And then, bam, their past comes back to haunt them.
And it wasn't just about being in the Nazi party, right?
No, some of them were accused of actual war crimes.
Like really bad stuff.
Yeah, way worse than just following orders.
That's when it gets really disturbing.
Yeah, we're talking about the darkest parts of Nazi Germany.
Slave labor, horrific conditions,
Yeah.
the Holocaust.
It's hard to even think about.
It is, but we have to remember, these things happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the V-2 rocket program.
The one von Braun worked on.
Yeah. As amazing as it was built on forced labor.
You talking about the Middlework factory?
Right? Basically a slave labor camp.
Thousands of prisoners died there.
From starvation, disease, overwork, it was awful.
It's a reminder of the human cost of all this.
Absolutely. The things
Right.
people will do for power.
And some of these Operation Paperclip scientists, they were involved in the Middlework operation.
They knew what was going on.
They knew about this suffering.
And they kept working on the V-2.
It's hard to square that with them helping America get to the moon.
Yeah, it makes you question what progress really means.
Right. At what cost?
Exactly. It's the big question.
And there's no easy answer.
Not at all. Operation Paperclip makes us face some uncomfortable truths.
About science, about ambition, about the compromises we make.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. Like take Arthur Rudolph, for example.
The Saturn V guy.
Yeah, he helped build the rocket that took us to the moon.
But he was also the director of the Middlework factory.
He oversaw the whole thing.
He knew about the slave labor.
So when these allegations came out,
He was investigated. He gave up his U.S. citizenship and went back to Germany.
wow, so he couldn't face the consequences.
It seems that way. It makes you wonder how much the U.S. government knew.
Right, did they know about these scientists' pasts?
Or did they just look the other way?
Because they needed their knowledge.
Big questions, no easy answers.
It's a lot to unpack. Operation Paperclip was a product of its time,
The Cold War, everyone was afraid.
and the U.S. was determined to be #1.
But it's also a story that goes beyond that time.
It shows us this tension at the heart of science.
The pursuit of knowledge can be good or bad.
And it's up to us to make sure it's used for good.
Absolutely. We have to learn from history.
Operation Paperclip is a warning sign.
A reminder that progress shouldn't come at the expense of human life.
That's a powerful message. So there you have it, listeners, a look inside Operation Paperclip.
A program full of intrigue, brilliance, and some very dark secrets.
We've seen how it impacted American science and technology.
And the ethical questions it raises.
It's a fascinating and unsettling story.
And it's one that continues to challenge us.
We hope this deep dive has given you something to think about.
Something to ponder.
As always, keep asking questions. Keep digging. Keep searching for the truth.
Until next time, stay curious,